very warm welcome to the Royal Automobile Club 2020 Historic Awards. Here we are in the rotunda of our Pall Mall clubhouse, built especially for the club and opened in 1911 as a palace for the motor car. Founded in 1897 by Frederick Sims, the club was bestowed its royal patronage in 1907 by Edward VII. From its earliest days, the club was focused on promoting the motor car and its important place in society. The club was a true pioneer and created challenges for the motor car, such as the 1,000-mile trial in 1900. In 1905, it held the first tourist trophy, which remains the oldest trophy competed for in motorsports. The club promoted the first British Grand Prix in 1926 at Brooklands and continued to be a pioneer for motoring, even issuing the first driver's licence in the UK. The club continues to celebrate and award success with a range of trophies and medals such as the Seagrave Trophy, the Tourist Trophy, the Dewar Trophy and the Torrens Trophy. The club plays an active role in motorsport with events such as the 1,000-mile trial, the Historic TT, the Woodcote Trophy and the Royal Automobile Club Tourist Trophy Celebration, the jewel in the crown of the Goodwood Revival. And that gives you some background and history of why we are here today, because these awards continue our rich heritage of celebrating the achievements of pioneers, champions and all forms of excellence. There has never been a better time to be rewarding success in what has been an extraordinary year. From keeping businesses active to producing events when all the odds were stacked against the organisers has showed such determination. There was also an impressive lineup of online activities within the entries, which just reinforced how resilient and innovative the industry has been in keeping the wheels turning. The standard of entries this year has been overwhelming and the judges had a tough time honing them down to the finalists. I'm especially encouraged by the quality of nominations for the Young Achiever Award. New for this year, it really highlights the passion amongst the young guns for the industry. A hearty congratulations to all the nominees for their achievements in 2020. They have not gone unnoticed, and to bring them to the fore in times like this is even more satisfying. These awards would not have been possible without our partners, and we are enormously grateful to them for their support and to the judges for their diligence and commitment to the procedure. I would like to take this opportunity to remind us of how significant this industry is. With a turnover of £18 billion and providing employment for 113,000 people, it should not be underestimated the sizable contribution it makes to business and leisure in the UK. So hats off to you all for achieving this and wishing you much success for this year. I would now like to hand over to Lee Mackenzie, who skillfully steered our inaugural awards in 2019, and I'm so glad she's back in the driver's seat to take control of them this year. Welcome, Lee, and over to you.
Thanks very much, Ben. It is a real pleasure to be back here again. I'm just so sorry that you can't all be here with us. Normally, this is the time where I would tell you everything that I've been doing over the last 12 months, from Olympics to Paralympics to Wimbledon, rugby and Formula One. Rugby and Formula One did happen. Sadly for me, I've mostly been concentrating on sourdough, which is of no interest to anyone. So I think we should just move on to the awards. Although, just before we get to the awards, let's talk about the start of the show so far. Tell me about this gorgeous car.
Well, it's a 1900 Sims built by our founder, Frederick Sims, allegedly in the railway arches in Putney, so not a long way from here. It's a very simple little car, single-cylinder engine. It's got 2 speeds, stop and a little bit faster. It doesn't even have a steering wheel. It's got a tiller that you have to grasp with both hands because the suspension is very primitive. It's nothing like a modern driver would experience. It's got solid rubber tyres, but it's the perfect little car to do the RM Sotheby's veteran car run down from London to Brighton. And this year we'll be celebrating 125 years of that event, which is quite an impressive tally. Indeed, you'd be very welcome to have a go. If you'd like to find a passenger, it's your car.
Yeah, I look forward to taking that car home later on today. Now, let's get underway with the 2020 Royal Automobile Club Historic Awards. Obviously, the clubhouse here in Pall Mall is unable to host the awards with an audience, so tonight we're coming to you via a live stream. And if you would like to send us photos of you enjoying yourself at home, perhaps with a glass of something, hopefully with a glass of something, please get involved on social media. Just a little reminder, all nominations must come from the 12-month period to the middle of October 2020, be UK-based or contain a strong UK element. Our first category this evening is Outstanding Journalism. This award will be presented to the author of what the judges deem to be the most exceptional writing that has appeared in a British publication, TV, radio, film, broadcast media or digital platform within the 12-month judging period. The feature can cover all aspects of the historic motoring world. So let's have a look at this year's finalists.
Doug Nye, a close friend of Sir Stirling Moss, wrote a piece straight from the heart for Magneto magazine, following the death of Britain's best-loved racing driver, recalling special moments and many poignant and often funny anecdotes. John Presnell, life in the snake pit, enjoying MG. MG founder Cecil Kimber's dismissal in 1941 created shockwaves in the close-knit British motor industry. John Presnell's article in Enjoying MG shows that it was part of a pattern of behaviour by the man behind the MG mark. Gary Pusey, the wildlife conservation pioneers, for Land Rover Monthly. Gary Pusey tells the little-known and heartwarming story of the pioneering African wildlife conservation efforts of Ted Riley and his family, and the extraordinary role played by their humble Land Rover.
And to announce the winner, Ben, as chairman of the club, will you kindly do the honours?
And the winner is Gary Pusey, the Wildlife Conservation Pioneers.
Well, the judges said of our winner, his story's originality, its easy and affectionate style, the obvious hard work involved in teasing out the facts, the authenticity brought by the pictures, brilliance of the composition between Deeds and Carr, and the way he dealt with the characters involved was the decider for us. And our winner now joins us from home, of course. Good evening, Gary.
It was a wonderful surprise to learn that I was a finalist in the Outstanding Journalism category, alongside two historians and writers I've admired for many years, Doug Nye and John Presnell. I'd like to thank firstly my friend Nigel of Windsor for his suggestion that I should try to track down Ted and Liz Riley and learn more about their groundbreaking wildlife conservation efforts in Eswatini, and of course to hear about the incredible role played by their Series 1 Land Rover, affectionately known as Jezebel. Ted and Liz and their son Mick were supremely helpful to me, as was family friend Laurie Muggleton, whose idea it was to renovate Jezebel and allow the battered Land Rover once again to play a crucial role in the protection of Eswatini's wild animals. I really hope that my article will bring their amazing story to a wider audience. Eswatini's wildlife parks receive no government funding and are wholly dependent on tourism revenues and donations. Of course, the effect of the pandemic on their income has been severe and is causing real problems. Laura's plan to drive the Series 1 from Eswatini to Solihull to raise funds is a noble one, and I hope that his efforts to attract sponsors are successful and that he and Mick are able to make that journey once we return to something resembling normality. I'd also like to thank my editor at Land Rover Monthly, Patrick, and his team, and our publishers, Warners, for giving me a platform to tell stories like this one. And I'd like to thank my family for their support, encouragement, and endless proofreading skills. Finally, my sincere thanks to the judges and the Royal Automobile Club for this wonderful award. Thank you.
Congratulations, Gary. Thanks very much for joining us. OK, let's move on to our second category of the evening. It's the Young Achiever, supported by 1762 from Bruin Dolphin, plus Starter Motor. And this is aimed at rising stars aged between 18 and 30 who are going above and beyond and building their future in Britain's historic motoring world. This is a vibrant industry, and it's vital that future generations who are making an exceptional contribution within their organisation are recognised. There is a wide remit for this category, from apprentices to club officials, through to event organisers and classic car dealers. The possibilities are endless, so let's take a look at our finalists.
Jack Bond. At the age of 24, Jack Bond already has 16 years of vintage sports car club membership under his belt and is committed to building his career in vintage motorsport and engineering. The judges commented he has an energetic passion for the historic scene, He wants to race, and when he's not helping prepare them at tip-top engineering, he's busy looking for a drive. Liam Howell, starting as a volunteer with the Jim Clark Trust while still at university and joining them full-time in 2019, Liam Howell has made a great contribution to the success of the Trust and the Jim Clark Motorsport Museum. The judges commented, "Jim Clark would be proud of this young gun behind the wheel of the Trust." Harry Ruffle Hazel, aged 20. Harry Ruffle Hazel joined CMC in Bridgnorth as an apprentice in 2017, having handed in his CV after seeing a lineup of restored classics outside their premises. Suitably impressed, they took him on, and he soon became leader of an apprentice team working on a 1954 Lancia Aurelia.
So Ben, if I could ask you to announce the winner of Young Achiever.
And the winner is Jack Bond.
Well, huge congratulations, Jack. The judges said we interviewed all 3 finalists and were hugely encouraged by the next generation of the heritage industry. Jack Bond's passion is clear and he's highly motivated. He's aiming high and clearly has enormous energy to tackle the projects he's working on. We were impressed by his range of engineering concepts and his love for the VSCC. Jack is all action and never far from his next challenge, with a competitive drive lined up in a 1930 Alvis Silver Eagle Special and his sights set on developing a range of camshafts, plus helping to expand tip-top and his love for the VSCC. He clearly has the drive and ambition to make it happen. Now, I'm delighted to say we can hear from our winner. It's Jack.
First of all, I'd like to start out by congratulating my fellow finalists, Liam Howell and Harry Ruffle Hazel, for being nominated for this award and for their great work within our industry. It's a huge honour to have been selected as the winner of this award by the Royal Automobile Club. Growing up, I spent my life around historic and vintage motorsport, so it was only natural for me to pursue a career within this industry, and I'd like to thank James Baxter on giving me the opportunity to do so. I would also like to thank all the staff and volunteers of the Vintage Sports Car Club for all the tireless work that they do, putting on events for us competitors. It is this year that we notice and appreciate that work more than ever, as we realise just how much of our lives would normally be spent racing, hill climbing, trialling or rallying. Although events have been few and far between, life in the workshop has been busier than ever. I'd like to show my appreciation to everyone in the historic motorsport community, whether it be for just for some friendly advice or for as much as the loan of a car to compete with. There's a huge amount of generosity within our sport, and I wouldn't be stood here today if it wasn't for a large number of people, so thank you. Finally, I'd like to finish off by congratulating all the other winners from the other categories. Well done. It's a little early in the day for me to start this, but we'll be sure to enjoy it tonight. Thank you very much.
Jack, it is never too early to have champagne, particularly when you're a winner. Congratulations. Ben, what is so pleasing to see is just that dedication that Jack and the other nominees have and the love for heritage.
It's fantastic. I always believe your youth is your future, so it's great to see these young people coming through with a real passion for the sport, and particularly Jack with his technical background. He's going to add so much to an industry that's already growing continuously.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see. Okay, we're now at our third category of this evening's Historic Awards. We hope you're enjoying the drama at home. Now we come to Personality Supported by Hero. This award seeks to recognise any individual who has made a truly outstanding contribution to heritage, historic motoring or historic motorsport during the judging period. The winner can come from any part of the British historic motoring world, private enthusiast, club organiser or perhaps a specialist who has achieved something remarkable. Let's have a look at the finalists.
Dan Gagan, Bicester Heritage. In 2020, Dan Gagan masterminded the construction of the Command Works, a £10 million extension to Bicester Heritage's former World War II RAF base, which comprises 8 new buildings, creating over 77,000 square foot of new mixed-use business and employment space. The Reverend Adam Compertz. The Reverend Adam has provided truly spiritual energy to the heritage movement at a time when physical distancing and lockdown has resulted in many fewer opportunities for enthusiasts to meet in person, with events cancelled or postponed. In 2020, he led 3 virtual events. Janice Pitchforth, Operations Director at the Heritage Skills Academy. Janice Pitchforth has been singularly instrumental in promoting and developing heritage apprenticeships. While the motor industry recorded 90% fewer apprenticeship starts since 2019, she bucked the trend by matching 25 new employees with apprenticeships since the first lockdown in March.
Ben, over to you again, if you could do the honours and announce the winner.
And the winner is Janice Pitchforth.
Well, the judges said the contributions all the nominees have made to sustaining the historic car movement at this difficult time have been substantial, and we appreciate the opportunity we have been given to recognise these outstanding efforts. However, we chose Janice because she is creating the human foundations for the heritage industry in such a vibrant and clearly successful manner. And I'm delighted to say Janice joins us now.
It's such an honour to be receiving the RAC Historic Award for the personality category. I would, however, like to congratulate the other two finalists, Dan Gahegan and Reverend Gompertz. They were stiff competition, and I hope after this they will both still be talking to me. I'm relatively new to the world of heritage and classic vehicles, and I would like to thank John Pitchforth, MD, and my husband for asking me to help in those early days when Heritage Skills Academy had just 10 apprentices. Who would have thought that just 3 years later we would have 100 mechanical coach building apprentices working in classic vehicle specialists throughout England. We are privileged to have academies based at Bicester Heritage and Brooklands Museum, which are both inspirational locations. I love working with the apprentices, historic specialists, and within this industry, which has been an inspiration to me. They have welcomed me into their world with open arms, although some have been a bit harder to win over. Since March last year, it has been tough for all of us, but despite this, historic specialists have recruited 48 new apprentices, and HSA has taken on 5 new members of staff. Of course, none of this would have been possible without the brilliant team I have behind me and the support of Francis Galashan and the Galashan Foundation, Carl Carter from the FBHVC, and David Withers from Starter Motor Charity. Our industry offers challenging and exciting career opportunities that few young people were aware of before HSA started to promote them. We have shown that there are young men and women out there with inquisitive minds and a determination to learn old school engineering skills and knowledge. I'm confident that the future leaders of this industry will come from the apprentices that HSA trains and you employ. Your support will ensure we preserve the skills and knowledge to create the next generation of world-class British engineers. Finally, this is probably the first and last time that I will be seen wearing a cocktail dress in the workshop, unless, of course, anyone would like to nominate me for any other awards to give me the opportunity to get dressed up again. We live and breathe our work. I hope that you can see that. Thank you.
Janice, congratulations, and I couldn't personally agree more. It is great to have an excuse to finally get dressed up, and if I may also say, you are certainly the most glamorous and best dressed person I've ever seen in a car workshop, so congratulations to all of that. Okay, talking of glamour, let's move up to the Seagrave room.
When the Royal Automobile Club launched their Historic Awards in 2019, we knew that this prestigious event would be of interest to Brewin Dolphin's clients, many of whom are historic motoring fans and indeed participants themselves. We were delighted to come on board at the very start, and for the 2020 awards, we're supporting the newly introduced Young Achiever category, something very close to our hearts as we look to the future stars in this important industry. Very well done to the organisers and to all those nominated, and very many congratulations to all of the winners.
We are delighted to be involved with the awards this evening. The historic movement is the best part of the automotive industry, with so many companies, individuals and enthusiasts involved in keeping this a living heritage. Our charity is passionate about introducing the next generation to our old car world. So we, along with our friends at Brewin Dolphin, are so pleased we can support the young achievers and be part of something that recognises all that time and commitment.
Good evening everyone, and welcome to Hero ERA's headquarters here at Bicester Heritage. I'm speaking to you this evening as partners and proud sponsors of the Royal Automobile Club's Historic Awards. Awards, of course, that recognise the skills, the challenges, the efforts and the successes of so many industry participants. Congratulations to you all, whether you're a nominee, and of course, if you are indeed the winners. And we very much look forward to seeing you on the road, maybe on one of our rallies, on a racetrack, in a workshop, or wherever the classic car may take you. Have a great evening, and thank you very much again to the club for organising such a fantastic award.
Well, Ben, here we are in this stunning Seagrave room. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, Lee, we are in the Seagrave room, which is named after Sir Henry Seagrave. He was a club member. He was a World War I aviator, but it was that crop of young men that came out of the First World War with a devil-may-care attitude and found his way down to Brooklands, where he developed a very early love of motorsport. Well,
yeah, incredible stories, incredible memories, and some incredible trophies. Just take us through these. I recognise this one.
Absolutely, and of course it's got the names of some of your fellow countrymen on there. It's got 5 times winner Jim Clark, who dominated it in the 60s, and then Jackie Stewart won it twice, 69 and 71. It was first awarded in 1948 for the very first post-war British Grand Prix at Silverstone, when it really was nothing more than an abandoned World War II bomber base. It's got all the great names, Brabham, everybody's on there, but particularly Lewis Hamilton, 7 times winner of the British Grand Prix. He always talks about how special it is to win your home Grand Prix, and he certainly made a bit of a habit of it.
This one here is stunning.
This is the Seagrave Trophy, named after Sir Henry and awarded by, or presented for the first time by his wife and many of Sir Henry's backers and friends after his death. And it's awarded quite simply for the spirit of adventure on land, sea, or in air, and indeed now space. And it's had many notable winners. John McGuinness won it for 23 TTs and his record lap round the TT Manning course. Donald Campbell won it for his attempt in 1964 when he broke the land speed record in Australia. It's an absolute roll of greatness. Bill Bedford won it, the test pilot on the Hawker Harrier. It's really just epitomises the barking mad British and Commonwealth people that just go beyond achievement and do exceptional things. It's a wonderful trophy, and the nice thing is when it is awarded, because it's not awarded every year, many of the previous winners come just to see who the latest name on the roll call is. It's
very heavy and not a trophy you probably want to lift aloft, unlike this one.
No, that's the Tourist Trophy, first awarded in September 1905. Motor racing was at its a nadir in the very early part of the 20th century. The only really organised motor racing had been the Gordon Bennett trials, and by 1905, Gordon Bennett, who was an American newspaper proprietor based in France, had turned his attentions to balloon racing, and there was no racing. Fortunately, Julian Ord, the club secretary, said, we need to do something about this, and he wrote to his cousin, who was the governor of the Isle of Man, and said, can we come racing in the Isle of Man? Because in that time you couldn't race on the road, and there were no circuits. We were still 2 years from Brooklands being created. And so in that September 1905, they held the first race, won by J.S. Napier and Errol Johnson. And then it's just got the greats. It's got Nuvolari, it's got Carracciola, Sterling Moss, Damon Hill's father, Graham Hill won it twice, Denny Hulme. It is just a roll call of the greats. And more recently, it's been awarded for the World Endurance Championship. What's really nice is when you see some of the modern drivers who sometimes early in their careers, they don't appreciate history, and they start reading the names around the base, and it really sinks in that how significant it is that they've actually won the Tourist Trophy. And it's a beautiful trophy.
It's a gorgeous trophy. They all are. It's such a pleasure to be here in this room. But without further ado, let's move on to the next category of the evening, starting with the competitive event. Now, this award seeks to celebrate the very best of the events that have a strong competitive element, from motor racing meetings and hill climbs to navigation rallies and regularity trials. Eligible events must have taken place within the UK or have had a significant part taking place within the UK. Virtual activities and those held behind closed doors are also eligible. So let's take a closer look at the finalists and see their events in action.
A novice trial organised by Hero. Hero's first post-lockdown event in August 2020 pioneered the return of rallying after a break of 5 months. A novice trial was the focus of Hero's mission to encourage newcomers and younger competitors to sample classic rallying. Historic Sports Car Club Legends of Brands Hatch Super Prix. The HSCC's Legend of Brands Hatch Super Prix on the Grand Prix circuit ran on the second weekend after the permitted return of racing at the start of July. The club undertook a massive workload to implement new working practices and drew a very strong entry for 2 excellent days of racing. Thruxton Historic, rescheduled from early June to mid-August, attracted excellent grids, all under the close scrutiny of local COVID authorities. For many of the competitors, it was their first race meeting of 2020, and a great yet socially distanced atmosphere was evident in the paddock.
So, Ben, you know the drill. If you could reveal the winner.
And the winner is the Historic Sports Car Club Legends of Brands Hatch Super Prix.
Well, the judges said both the Historic Sports Car Club and Motorsport Vision deserve praise for the enormous amount of hard work they put in to staging a superb event in the most challenging of circumstances. And I think now we can hear from our winners representing the Historic Sports Car Club. It's a very good evening to Chief Executive Officer Andy D. Crown. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
To win major awards 2 years running is an exceptional achievement for the HSCC. We're both delighted and proud to be recognised in these prestigious industry awards. The HSCC is a long-established club, and this award underlines its continuing place at the heart of historic racing. As the first major historic post-lockdown race meeting, the Super Prix presented a massive logistical challenge. The event required us to adapt our existing systems and to implement new policies to deal with the ever-present COVID crisis. This event could not have taken place without the commitment and foresight of Jonathan Palmer at Motorsport Vision and Hugh Chambers from Motorsport UK, who worked tirelessly to get motorsport back on track. I also want to thank our members and guest competitors for their trust, understanding and compliance with those rules that were put in place to ensure everyone's safety. The historic racing community has unfortunately lost some of its members to this indiscriminate virus, and I would like, on behalf of the HSCC, to dedicate this award to all those who have lost loved ones during this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andy. Very heartfelt emotion there, and we all couldn't agree more, but we must say a huge congratulations to you. So, let's move on to our next category, which introduces speed and noise to the evening, because this is for race series. Now, this award aims to recognise the huge number of highly active and successful historic racing series, many of which take place across an international stage and can be organised by one of the big international organisers or by one of the many UK-based historic racing clubs. To be eligible for this award, a race series must have a predominantly UK-based calendar. We can now see the finalists.
Formula Junior Historic Racing Association Historic Sports Car Club Silver Line UK Championship. Historic Formula Junior is one of the most affordable classes of historic single-seater racing with a strong following. GT and Sports Car Cup. This series epitomises the spirit of sports and GT car racing with genuine period specification cars from the 1950s and early 60s of a type which raced both internationally and in national events of the period. Historic Racing Drivers Club Jack Sears Trophy for touring cars 1958 to 1966. The HRDC Jack Sears Trophy caters for touring cars from the earliest days of the BRSCC Saloon Car Championship, which are rarely, if ever, seen elsewhere.
Well, I think you'll agree there was some exciting stuff to see in those clips, but who is the winner? Ben, over to you.
And the winner is GT and Sports Car Cup, Flavien and Vanessa Marseille.
Well, the judges said the races featured large entries of cars of exceptional quality. Driving standards, particularly in the very wet race at Castlecombe, were exemplary, with the owners playing a major role by having to drive for at least 50% of the distance rather than relying too much on the professionals. And for a slightly different flavour this evening, let me say bonsoir to our winners who are across the channel close to Le Mans in France. How very appropriate. Good evening to Vanessa and Flavien Marseille, the directors of the GT and Sports Car Cup.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ben, Lee, Flavien and I are delighted to accept this award this evening from the Royal Automobile Club. For the GT and Sports Car Cup to have been chosen from such a great list of finalists by the esteemed panel of judges, Ian Titchmarsh, Marcus Pye and Paul Lawrence, is a huge accolade. Thank you to the Royal Automobile Club, Historic Promotions and category sponsors, our good friends at A. Lang & Zoner. It's without doubt you, the drivers, that have made the GT and Sports Car Cup the best of the best. Family and friends work tirelessly in the background at each event to not only ensure that we have the best competitive spirit on track, but the hospitality and conviviality in the paddock are second to none. We'd like to dedicate part of this award to our dear friend Lindsay Smart, who sadly lost her life last year. Many of you will know that Lindsay was an integral part of the GT and Sports Car Cup family, not only as our in-house photographer, but a dear, dear friend. We so wish that we could all be celebrating with you this evening in the Royal Automobile Club on Pall Mall. Those days will surely return. Flavien and I are very excited to be steering the GT and Sports Car Cup into its 15th season this year and can't wait to see you all back on track. Thank you for this trophy. It's a real honour. Have a great evening.
Well, congratulations to you both. And Ben, I know that you have first-hand experience of that particularly wet day at Castlecombe.
It certainly was very, very wet. It was biblical, but I think a combination of a firm word from Flavien prior to qualifying in the race, some great hospitality and just a lovely camaraderie in the paddock meant that we had some great racing in pretty atrocious conditions, some of the worst I've ever raced in, but everybody went home intact with a smile on their face, and that really epitomises what they offer to their racers. Great, well-deserved win.
Yeah, that is exactly what it's all about. Okay, let's move on to our next award, and this really recognises the stunning range of classic and historic car events that take place around the UK throughout the year. We move on to the motoring spectacle. Potential nominees must have no element of timed competition. Eligible events include concours d'elegance, tours, classic vehicle shows and club gatherings. Judges looked for events, big or small, that have displayed a true sense of spectacle. Eligible events must have taken place within the UK or have had a significant part taking place within the UK. Virtual activities held behind closed doors were also eligible for 2020.
Classics for Carers, the lockdown brainchild of Nick Chivers. Classics for Carers was a stay-at-home motoring event which saw prized vehicles taking pride of place on driveways across the UK, while raising funds for NHS carers, colleagues and volunteers. London Concours. As the first major automotive event to run since February 2020, the rescheduled London Concours took a step into the uncharted, with the additional complications of brand new COVID restrictions, yet was bound in the same enthusiasm, passion and pageantry as ever. Revs Limiter. Designed to support the classic car community during the COVID-19 pandemic, Revs Limiter was a brand new online virtual car show organised by the motoring enthusiast, artist and chaplain at Bicester Heritage, Adam Gompers.
So Ben, if you could do the envelope opening duties.
And the winner is Classics for Carers, created by Nick Chivers.
Well, huge congratulations. The judges said Classics for Carers provided loads of online content like so many other digital events, but with the important added element of a real-life classic spectacle for just about anyone who went out for a walk during Lockdown 1. It helped keep the classic movement in the public eye when it could so easily have been forgotten, and raised vital funds for charities. And joining us this evening is the founder for Classics for Carers, Nick Chivers. Good evening, Nick.
This will be pride of place in the cupboard, and that's incredible. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody who voted and nominated, and obviously the judges who deemed it worthy. So thank you very much, and have a great night, everyone.
Nick, thank you very much, and huge congratulations. Now, Ben, we've talked about Brooklands a lot, and I believe we're heading there now.
We certainly are. Whilst the circuit may not exist anymore, we've certainly got the cradle of good food down there.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome, as someone famous once said. We're going through some tough times at the moment, and this is a great opportunity for us all to come together, to find ways of innovating, engaging, and what's more, to celebrate all that is good in our industry. We at Footman James are really pleased and delighted to be involved in the Royal Automobile Club Historic Awards, and we hope that tonight will be a special night.
At Bicester Heritage, we take restoration very seriously indeed, and we're delighted to be supporting the restoration category this evening. We hope this provides recognition for the painstaking research, technical expertise, and huge amount of work it takes to create a world-beating restoration. Congratulations to all finalists, and good luck.
Well, we've moved to yet another incredible location within the club. Ben, we're not quite propping up the bar. We are trying our best, but Brooklands, this room, it's stunning. Give us some of the history.
Well, it was originally the members' dining room, but some years ago, it was renamed the Brooklands Room in honour of the famous Weybridge circuit, the cradle of British motor racing. And the style very much reflects that, though, the roaring 20s and the fabulous 30s of pre-war motor racing. And we've got some beautiful pictures that come in, Stirling Moss, there's some great murals. And most of all, it's a great place to eat and drink, which hopefully we will get to do later in this year.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be back to that soon. We have another incredible prop here. You were giving me some of the history. It's amazing. It looks like a bicycle, but it's got an awful lot more on it.
Yeah, 1912 Phelan and Moore, 465cc, so it's a big old engine, 2 speeds, but as you say, it's bicycle-type brakes. I've ridden this bike a few times, and the one thing you definitely need is a really stout pair of boots, because that's your principal braking system. But wonderful bit of kit, quite a famous owner, a reverend who helped equip the Royal Flying Corps with motorcycles in the First World War, so a lovely provenance.
Yeah, boots and bravery, I think you need for that one. Okay, let's move on to our next section, the collection supported by Footman James. Now, historic vehicle collections come in many forms, from those by private individuals to those curated by museums or internationally renowned marques. In this category, the award is presented to a British-based collection, which has made a significant contribution to the historic motoring movement in the UK or internationally during the eligibility period. Let's take a look at some of the collections of the finalists.
Vauxhall Heritage. For the first time in its 72-year history, a selection of cars from Vauxhall Heritage's famous collection went on public display, telling the incredible story of Vauxhall Motors' rise from a niche sporting car manufacturer to one of the UK's best-known automotive brands. British Motor Museum. The British Motor Museum responded splendidly to the unprecedented challenges of lockdown, which forced it to close a major exhibition after just 2 days. It launched an entirely new online display, followed by a significant new post-lockdown exhibit, and maintained a highly active presence via its blog and social media. The National Motor Museum. In spite of the challenges faced in 2020, the National Motor Museum was very busy, staging some of its most popular events and introducing some new attractions, including motoring in miniature and park and picnic evenings.
Well, after seeing those finalists, I can't wait for lockdown to end and be able just to go and visit and see some of those amazing collections. They're all so good. But let's see who's tonight's winner. Over to you, Ben.
And the winner is the British Motor Museum.
Well, huge congratulations. The judges said the British Motor Museum was selected as the winner, particularly for the way the team dealt with the 2020 lockdown and kept the museum active and accessible to the public with a strong online presence. And we can go to the amazing British Motor Museum and hear now from the Managing Director, Jeff Coop.
Thank you so much. The whole team at British Motor Museum are delighted to have won the collections category of the Royal Automobile Club Historic Awards. I'd like to thank the Royal Automobile Club for continuing to hold the awards this year despite the challenges that this must have presented. My thanks also go to Footman James for sponsoring the Collection Award and for providing the insurance services that we all need to drive our passion. And congratulations to both the National Motor Museum at Bewley and Vauxhall Heritage for being finalists this year and providing such strong competition. I know their teams have also put in a huge effort to ensure their collections have remained as accessible as possible in these difficult times. Well done to both. Finally, and of course, I'd like to thank the entire team at British Motor Museum, not only for their hard work and enthusiasm throughout this exceptional period, but also for thinking laterally, for never being satisfied with just closing the museum when we've had to. If the people can't come to the museum, then the museum can go to the people, was the thinking. So we increased the content and output of our social media platforms, developed our learning programme to make them available online, and decided that if we really had to close our brand new 50 Years of Range Rover exhibition after just 2 days, which we did unfortunately, then we'd create another one specifically to work online, which was a first for British Motor Museum. And it did work. The Metro at 40 exhibition, which was put together by our own curatorial and archive team, has been a fantastic success, receiving lots of regional and national press interest and even appearing, believe it or not, on BBC Breakfast. In fact, we're still receiving Metro memories from owners past and present, which is wonderful. I guess you could say this humble little car is still working for the British motor industry. Anyway, thanks once again. We're absolutely delighted to receive this award. Thank you.
Well, congratulations. And when lockdown ends, I encourage you all to go and take a look at the collection. So we come to our final category, and this is restoration, supported by Bicester Heritage. This award is presented for a restoration that results from not only impressive technical expertise, but also a significant amount of research and sensitivity to the vehicle and its history. The judges looked for evidence of a dedication and determination to learn as much as possible about the subject's provenance and for a well-documented research and restoration process. The project must be UK-based. It can have been started at any point, but must have been completed during the year ending 14th of October 2020. To properly assess the finalists, our judging panel gathered them together at Bicester Heritage for a socially distanced inspection. Let's take a look at the work of the finalists.
1911, De Dion lorry, Nick Pellet. This is the oldest working heavy commercial De Dion Bouton in the world, and until Nick Pellet restored it, it hadn't run for nearly 100 years. An additional challenge was posed by the fact there were no published books specialising in De Dion Bouton commercial vehicles, and thanks to 2 world wars, there are no surviving factory records. 1981 Ford Escort Mark II Viking Motorsport. Pro Drive owner David Richards and driver Ari Vatanen won 3 rallies in their 1981 World Rally Championship winning campaign. Years later, David Richards tracked down the car and put it into the hands of Viking Motorsport, where it was restored by John O'Connor, who actually built the car in 1980. 1948 Land Rover Dewey 477, Ineos Automotive and Julian Schulheifer. Chassis 86001 was the first ever official production Land Rover. By 2018, it had spent decades on the Northumbrian hillside and was a daunting restoration prospect. Julian Schulheifer was tasked with a restoration which preserved as much of its history and originality as was physically and safely possible. Now, there was one nomination in the restoration category that did not make the finalist shortlist, but the judges felt nonetheless was eminently worthy of a special mention. The car is the 1954 Lancia Aurelia B20 GT from Classic Motorcars Limited. The judges said among the many high-quality restorations in this category, the Lancia Aurelia stood out, not just because of its now stunning condition, but also because its restoration was entirely managed and undertaken by a small group of young apprentices at Classic Motorcars. They stripped the Lancia down, documented every stage and made extensive repairs, whilst also attending college and learning new skills at CMC.
So, Ben, can I ask you to open our last envelope for the categories and reveal the winner?
Yep, my pleasure. And the winner is the 1948 Land Rover Dewey 477, restored for Ineos Automotive by Julian Schulheifer.
Well, the judges said it was a tough decision and a very close call between three entirely different vehicles. After inspecting the vehicles and many long discussions, it was the Land Rover Dewey 477 that was chosen as the winner. Its historical importance, the condition that it was found in after years left on open moorland, exposed to all weathers for decades, the incredible lengths that were taken in order to retain as much of the original vehicle as possible, and the brave decision not to over-restore were all factors in the choice. And now we can hear from the person responsible for all of that hard work. Good evening, Julian Schulheifer.
Oh wow, thank you. That's absolutely incredible. I'd never have imagined as a Land Rover mad 12-year-old that I'd end up here winning this award. I'm flattered and humbled, especially given the quality of the other finalists' restorations. Restoring JUE was an absolute honour, but of course no restoration is done in isolation. Without the vision of Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his trust in our process, none of this would have happened. Yasin Ali, who made working with Ineos an absolute delight, also to Mark Tennant and Dirk Heilman at Grenadier for their support. My amazing restoration team at Schulheifer, Richard Spikins, Alan Butlin, my wife Kat and sons Jake and Finn, all of whom worked tirelessly on the project for 2 years. The amazing panel work straightening by the team at EAB. Thanks also to Andrew Rogers, the skills of Martin Laurie, Aubrey Finberg, Jeff Hayden, and a host of others. You know who you are. Beyond the nuts and bolts, it was a pleasure working with Andrew Nahum of the London Science Museum for his guidance and authentication skills at major stages of the restoration process. I must say a huge thanks also to my friend Martin Port. Martin followed the project day in, day out from the start. He inspired me on those difficult days and produced an exceptional book on JUE's history and restoration. Massive thanks are due to everyone at the Royal Automobile Club Historic Awards for selecting a scruffy old Land Rover as one of the finalists, and of course to judges David Lillywhite and Danny Hopkins. Last but not least, I'd like to thank the late David Fairless, without whom Dewey might not have survived, and to the Fairless family for their trust in me. It's been the most incredible journey. Thank you.
Congratulations, Julian. Richly deserved, and you really have set the benchmark when it comes to sensitive restorations. OK, there is one final award this evening, and Ben, this is a very special award.
Thanks, Lee. It is now my huge pleasure to announce the recipients of the Royal Automobile Club's Lifetime Achievement Award. This recognises an individual or individuals who have, in the opinion of the club, made an outstanding contribution to the British historic motoring and motor racing movement across many years. Congratulations to this year's recipients, Peter and Betty Ann Banham. For over 3 decades, Peter and Betty have been ever-present members of the historic rallying community, known to countless owners, organisers and entrants around the world as the people whose remarkable ingenuity and enthusiasm has saved the day. Keen competitors themselves, they and their venerable Riley were once regulars at club rally events where Peter's knack for roadside repairs quickly earned him a reputation. The Banhams' willingness to assist their fellow entrants soon laid the path to a role as a mechanical assistance crew on distance events. On countless occasions since, they have been the last in the service park at the end of a long and tiring day. Peter, with his never-ending supply of large washers, bolts and good ideas, and Betty alongside him with a never-ending source of tea, fruit buns and positivity. Peter says that she also has an uncanny ability to find whatever mechanical part he needs. As prolific historic competitor Jonathan Turner recalled, "I've been bailed out by the Banhams more time than the sheep farmer's bucket." There is nothing commonplace about Jonathan's most noteworthy interaction with the Banhams, however, which occurred when Peter spotted him stranded in the Gobi Desert during the 2007 Peking to Paris. Peter towed him for 9 hours over the washboard roads, battered by sandstorms and with the tow rope giving way at every opportunity. They eventually capitulated and camped by the roadside. It was only upon waking the next morning that they discovered themselves to be just 1 dune away from having reached the main campsite. Congratulations to you both. Your extraordinary feats are only eclipsed by the enormity of your goodwill and team spirit, it is my great pleasure to honour you both.
Now this came out of the blue, absolutely proud, surprised and honoured to be given it.
Mainly because we're just a little village, we come from a little village garage in Norfolk, taught by an old boy in the Remy during the war, who taught me all my little tricks and things, and we used to just do what we normally do as an everyday thing. Servicing has always been a major thing with us, and now we found with the historics that it was a major thing, and our idea was to get everybody that started the event to the finish. It didn't happen, but it got very close on odd occasions.
Right, we would like to thank everyone, especially Philip Young, Jeremy Dixon and all the organisers of the historic movements that have offered us jobs looking after their cars. So, but especially thanks again to the RAC for thinking us worthy of this award.
Peter and Betty, huge congratulations, so richly deserved. You are a ray of sunshine in what has been such a difficult 12 months. And as somebody who has spent quite a lot of time broken down at the side of the road in rally cars, I would love to have seen you approaching. And Ben, I know that you have been the recipient of their efforts over the years. We have come, though, to the end of our awards, and I hope you've all enjoyed this evening, no matter where you've been watching. It's now upwards and onwards to tackle 2021, and I really hope that by the end of this year, we'll all be enjoying these awards together again in the club.
Lee, I'd like to thank you for adding a touch of glamour and professionalism to tonight. It's been a pleasure. I'd also like to thank the team who pulled it all together, and may I wish you all a safe and successful year. However, most importantly, I think we should toast the winners.
We certainly should. Ben, thank you very much for having me again. Thank you very much to all of you at home for taking part in this evening. We hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.
Cheers.
The club would like to pass on their thanks to Bonhams for delaying their much anticipated talk on the historic 1937 Bugatti Type 57S to 7:30 this evening. Please go to the motorcars section of the Bonhams website for the link. Thank you.